southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump spoke during the third day of the National Prescription Drug Abuse and Heroin Summit in Atlanta. You saw it live right here on WYMT. Our Will Puckett joins us now with more on what the president had to say about the opioid epidemic. Will?
Steve, it was a wide-ranging speech by the president that touched on a host of topics here in Atlanta this afternoon. His speech lasted for more than half an hour, pulling in 4+ guests who have been impacted by the opioid crisis or are on the front lines fighting it. He highlighted, amongst things, the amount of money that is being spent to fight the crisis, including $90 million for youth prevention.
To protect all Americans, my administration declared the opioid epidemic a nationwide public health emergency. A big step. Since then, we have secured a record $6 billion in new funding to combat the opioid crisis, and that's the most ever, and we're going for even bigger numbers this year.
Steve, now that was just a tiny portion of the president's speech, again, that lasted for more than half an hour. The president was introduced by his wife, First Lady Melania Trump, who spoke briefly and touched mostly on her Be Best campaign and what she is trying to accomplish in her time as First Lady. Now, a couple of the topics that he touched on was additional legislation to fight the opioid crisis, to border security, and hoping to bring in more bipartisan support for his legislation that he wants to take care of the border, where he says the majority of these drugs, especially fentanyl that was mentioned multiple times, is coming from. We will have more at 5:36 and 11 from here at Atlanta. For now, I'll send it back to you, Steve.
All right, Will, thank you. The first generic nasal medication to treat opioid overdoses is now approved by the FDA. Pharmacists say naloxone hydrochloride is quickly becoming more accessible and easier to use. WYMT's Taylor Upchurch is in the newsroom to break down the guide for naloxone users. Taylor?
Yeah, Steve, this product is something you can easily use at home. Pharmacists I talked with today say with a brief training from their staff, anyone can save the life of someone who has overdosed or unexpectedly come into contact with an opioid. Though this user-friendly nasal spray cannot yet be purchased over the counter, it's the FDA's goal to eventually open that door for families looking to purchase Narcan without a prescription. ARH pharmacist Jerry Lynn Milwee says it's as simple as peeling back the tab, placing a finger on either side of the nozzle and spraying into one's nose. If there's no response, repeat in the second nostril. The effects only last 30 to 90 minutes, so calling 911 is still just as important. She says she hopes this product benefits first responders and family members in crucial situations.
Of course, no one ever hopes to need to use Narcan on anyone that they know or anyone that they don't know, but we do want everybody to be prepared and to have easy access to help reduce or reverse an overdose.
Pharmacists say there's no limit on how many can be purchased at one time, and both adults and children may receive the medication. For those interested, thankfully, 10 surrounding ARH pharmacies accept walk-in requests for the nasal spray.
It's been another beautiful day here in the mountains once again. We have seen a few more clouds today, but overall it's been another warm day. You'll notice that here on the National Weather Service camera in Jackson. We started out with those clear skies. Clouds have been increasing throughout the day due to that warm front that's really draped just to the north of us, and we're seeing those mostly blue skies over into downtown Whitesburg. Just a few little clouds over there. You'll notice on satellite and radar those clouds moving in and out throughout the day. Maybe a few scattered chances down into the Cumberland Valley. We'll bring in more scattered chances as we head into tonight. Those temperatures, though, another warm day. We're seeing those lower 70s in Ashland, Moorhead. You can kind of see where that warm front is draped just right to the north of us. Most of us already into those upper 70s, even those lower 80s down into the Cumberland Valley. And as you notice, as we head throughout the overnight hours, we'll be into about those mid 70s by 6 o'clock. We'll see those clouds increasing a little bit by 9, maybe a few showers, but the best chance is going to be a little bit later tonight, kind of similar to what we saw last night, where we see most of those showers stay mainly to the north of us. And as we head really throughout tonight and then into tomorrow. It's really Thursday evening to Friday morning is when that soggy weather is going to return. Good news is this weekend's forecast is looking very comfortable. I'll have that full forecast coming up for you guys in just a little bit. Steve.
All right. Thank you, Paige. The mother of twin toddlers who died in a Harlan County house fire 2 days ago has also died. The Harlan County Coroner's Office says Allison Howard died from her injuries earlier today. Her husband, Dennis Chad Howard, remains in critical condition. Fire crews responded to the house fire in the Tots community Monday. Crews spent hours searching for the missing toddlers who were unaccounted for at first, but fire crews found the toddlers dead inside the home. With Love from Harlan, a local nonprofit group has raised thousands of dollars to help with funeral expenses. A historic courthouse went up in flames in East Tennessee last night. Part of the roof of the Loudoun County Courthouse collapsed after a massive fire broke out just before 7 o'clock last night. The courthouse dates back 150 years. Investigators are trying to determine what caused the fire. Most of the courthouse is damaged, and fire officials say the building could be a loss. President Trump says he fully complied with special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, and because of that, he does not want his staffers complying with congressional investigations. This follows a House Judiciary Committee subpoena of former White House counsel Don McGahn, who was quoted in Mueller's report more than 150 times.
Well, we're fighting all the subpoenas. Look, these aren't like impartial people. The Democrats are trying to win 2020.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin missed a deadline yesterday to turn over the president's tax returns to Congress. Potentially the last big name is about to enter the race tomorrow for the Democratic presidential nomination. Sources say former Vice President Joe Biden will enter the race for the 2020 Democratic nomination in a place he's never been, on top. The latest polling shows him leading the large field of Democratic hopefuls with 27%. 7% ahead of Senator Bernie Sanders. Biden's PAC sent an email to supporters yesterday hinting that an announcement is coming soon. He's been toying with the idea of getting in the race for more than a year.
What's the holdup? What's the holdup? Putting everything together, man.
Biden chose not to run in 2016 after the death of his son, Beau, the year before. 8 people were hurt when a car plowed into a group of people in Sunnyvale, California last night. All 8 were taken to local hospitals. Some of the victims have serious injuries. The youngest is only 13 years old. Witnesses say the crash happened around 6:30 p.m. They say the car sped through a busy intersection just before turning into the group without any effort to slow down. Police believe the man drove into the group deliberately.
We do have witness statements that show that the vehicle did not attempt to slow down or brake, and that the scene itself doesn't show any kind of evidence of braking.
The driver was arrested and the crash remains under investigation. Authorities in Sri Lanka say they are not out of danger yet and worry more suicide bombers may be ready to strike. New security video shows 2 suspected suicide bombers inside one of the luxury hotels blown up in Sri Lanka on Easter Sunday. Police say the men were brothers and sons of a wealthy local businessman who is now in custody along with more than 50 others. But authorities warn the danger may not be over yet.
There are still talks of, some of these suicide bombers might be roaming around.
ISIS released this video claiming responsibility for the coordinated attacks. The man in the middle is believed to be the mastermind. The local Muslim council says the government knew about the threat but did nothing. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Wednesday afternoon. The Dow closes down today more than 59 points. The Food Marketing Institute is preparing to choose its store manager of the year. This year, Pikeville Food City manager Tim Collins is in the running. Collins says he's honored to be considered for the award and has enjoyed serving the community for the past 33 years. He says FMI awards another title aside from the Store Manager of the Year award.
They also have a People's Pick, and that's where the community gets involved. So the store manager that gets the most votes from their community, they will win that award. For more information about the awards, just check out our website.
Do you enjoy streaming movies? Well, they are now eligible for the Oscars. The Board of Governors for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced yesterday it would not remove streaming sites from eligibility. This means streaming services such as Netflix can be nominated for an Oscar next year. Famed director Steven Spielberg has reportedly pushed for the Academy to make streaming movies ineligible. Spielberg holds some power on the board. He represents the director's branch as an Academy governor.
New concerns when it comes to teens and e-cigarettes. I'm Tom Hansen with what some schools are doing to combat vaping.
Showers move into the area tonight, but when does the bulk of the rain arrive? We'll break down that full forecast in just a few short minutes.